Welcome back to the gospel. Man, look, the further we get into the season, the more fun I'm having. We got a lot to talk about. NFL, NCAA football. Y'all see my Lakers out there balling. We're not going to talk about the Yankees, but y'all saw my Patriots. Y'all saw my Cleveland Browns. We're going to get into it. Look, I'm your host, Zay, the fantasy football fiend. This is the gospel. I got my bros with me, young Vander, the fantasy Nostradamus. Holla at the people, my guy.
What's going on out there?
And my guy BK wins, the man that is putting money in our pockets. BK, I doubled up again. Thank you kindly, sir. Holla at the people.
All we do is win, and it's great seeing y'all.
Yo, let's hop into it. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and start out. The Jets lose to the Patriots. Big loss for the Jets. Big win for the Patriots, while at the same time a big loss. Because not a whole lot of teams we gonna beat. We already have our quarterback. I feel like we could have gained a lot more by not winning, but you never want to go out to lose. The reason I say we could have gained a lot more by not winning is because there are going to be several quarterbacks at the top of the draft going into next year that if you have one of those top spots, trading that spot can fill in a lot of holes that a team like the Patriots may have. But at this point in the game, I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers has no excuses. They went out and got his guy. They fired the head coach that he didn't like. Devontae Adams is now averaging 30-something yards a game, 3 catches. Like at some point, we got to get over the excuses and call a thing a thing. And right now, Aaron Rodgers is looking washed. This is looking like Brett Favre all over again, going from Green Bay to the Jets to Minnesota. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers will be back again. And I feel like Devontae Adams has painted himself into a corner. How much worse can it get for the Jets? They're looking at multiple penalties. They have, get this, right? With a veteran QB, you normally can avoid certain penalties. They almost have the highest amount of delay of game penalties in the entire NFL this year. You shouldn't have that type of penalty with a competent quarterback. What in the world is going on with the Jets? And again, I told you guys that the Patriots are going to get Drake May hurt because we don't have an offensive line. We just traded away one of our best pass rushers. It feels like it's not a fire sale, but a yard sale. And when you get one of your best pass rushers for a 6th-round pick, that's a yard sale. You're not asking for much. You're just trying to make room. Where are we at on the Jets and the Patriots, Aaron Rodgers, the Drake May situation? Vander, start us out, my
guy. This was a kind of ugly game. But Rodgers again. I know, again, the head coach is the quarterback is going to always get the credit and always get the backlash, but he didn't play that bad. He didn't throw any. He didn't. What you mean? He didn't throw any interceptions. He threw 2 touchdowns. Don't forget, they lost by 3 points. The field goal kicker missed a field goal. I think he also missed an extra point. So sometimes you have to look at the little things that also could have won you a game as well. So I'm not saying he was all world, but he played better than the quarterbacks across the field from him. That didn't do anything. Now we did see May.
The quarterback across the field was Jacoby.
But again, this is a head-to-head game, and when you have those head-to-head quarterbacks, he outplayed both of them, Brissett and Drake May. But this is the NFL, man. This is the 40-year-old man. So that's not saying he's supposed to. He's 40 years old out there playing quarterback in the NFL right now.
He was 40 when they offered him $100 million to come play quarterback for him.
But again, he didn't play bad. he played better than Deshaun Watson had played all year long. If you take the stats that he had, if you take the stats that he had Sunday, Deshaun didn't do that all season. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
How the mighty have fallen. We're comparing Aaron Rodgers to Deshaun Watson.
What you mean? This is a 40-year-old guy. This isn't.
I don't care how old he is. He's on the field.
Come on, man. Let's stop it. Let's not act like age isn't a thing. Is what I'm saying in comparison. The dude did not play bad.
Okay.
If you watch the game, he did not play bad. He didn't turn the ball over. That's key. He did not turn the ball over. Your field goal kicker miss two kicks. If he make both of those kicks, they win this game. I mean, I don't know what you want to say.
I want to say he's not worth the $100 million that they paid him. Is what I'm saying. They paid him to be the Aaron Rodgers they paid him to be the Aaron Rodgers of 2017. Honestly, that ain't what they get.
Listen, man, in the NFL, you're gonna have who's worth the money they're getting. There's so many players that's not worth money they're getting.
I agree with that.
People complain about Kirk Cousins' contract. People complain definitely about Deshaun's contract.
The Falcons are number one in their division. I'm sure the Jets will be okay paying Aaron Rodgers what they paid him, but they were number one in the division.
So they're number one in their division.
Yeah.
Is their division
like last?
Okay, but they was predicted to be number one in their division, though. That's not like a woo. So
the Jets weren't predicted to be last. They're behind the Patriots. That wasn't supposed to happen.
No, I'm talking about. Hold on, you switching gears. You said the Falcons. They were predicted to win that division.
No. What I'm saying is the Jets are last in the division right now.
Okay, but if you look at some of those key games that they lost, all those games went on the back of Aaron Rodgers. There's been
you're missing it.
I'm not missing anything. I'm not missing anything. So you want to blame them? No, I'm not.
If I pay Aaron Rodgers to come be my quarterback, I'm not paying him to be last in the division.
I thought football was the ultimate team sport. So you mean to tell me this last place division record is all on Aaron Rodgers? Get out of here.
I didn't say that.
So what are you talking about?
A lot of it is on Aaron Rodgers.
No. So don't you bring up
a lot of it is on Aaron Rodgers.
Bring up the man's contract as if we paying him all this money, we're not winning. All these losses they have has not been on his back.
Not all of it, but a lot that should be on his back as far as the win is concerned.
Oh man. So this past weekend against the Patriots, that wasn't him.
If you can't figure it out against the lowly Patriots,
okay,
why are you here?
Hold on, not the same Patriots. Hold on.
They did better. They look through week 7. They put more points with Zach Wilson than they have with Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on, BK. Not the same Patriots. Not the same Patriots. Last week he was on here saying our defense is so great. Our defense is so great. Not that same Patriots.
I said our defense was good. I didn't say they were great.
Pick a struggle.
So here's
great.
So here's the thing, right? It's obviously the Jets have a lot of problems. Right. They fired their head coach already. Their offensive coordinator got demoted. And so part of the pre-snap penalties on offense has more to do with the lack of continuity there. Now, yes, Rodgers has the experience and he, in some cases, should know better. But a lot of it falls amongst, we talk about the dysfunction of the front office. The owner's terrible. The front office is terrible. The GM is even worse. You know, they have a lot of problems. It's not just Rodgers. This game wasn't on Rodgers at all. It was on their defense and their special teams. Their defense played terrible against a trash offense, and their special teams killed them with missed field goals and extra points. So you can't win that game that way. And at the end of the day, look, I've said this to you guys 1,000 times. Here's 1,001. I'm going to cash another best bet because I told you the Jets were going to finish under 9.5 wins. That's ridiculous. There's no way in the world in any planet that they were going to go 10-7 with that roster. They couldn't go 10-7 if they played themselves. Right. So, let's get out of here with that. Adams has been an absolute zero to be honest, through no fault of his own, because they have so many problems. It's you can't be a difference maker on a dysfunctional mess, right? So the Patriots, look, give the Patriots credit. They played inspired football at home. They played a little bit better than I think we expected them to do. And to Vander's point, it's the NFL. Congrats, you're 2-6, you know. But at the end of the day, the Jets are still going to finish higher than the Patriots, and both teams suck.
So just to be clear, the Patriots don't have a good defense. They don't have a good offense. The Jets are one of the last teams as far as delay of game penalties are concerned, which means it didn't just start when the new OC took over. But none of it is Aaron Rodgers' fault. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly.
In this game, you guys know that
not this game. Every you can't be the worst in the NFL because of one game.
So, but here's the thing, right? I've consistently railed Aaron Rodgers for how poorly he plays. That's not a mystery. But you have to be fair. And when this specific game isn't his fault, I'm not going to penalize him this game. Now, the 3 previous games, he threw 6 picks in those 3 games and literally was a charity. Those games fall on him because you've got to play better. And historically, he's done really well about not turning the ball over. His decision-making was bad those prior 3 weeks. In this week's game, bad defense, bad special teams, and it will kill you in games where 3/4 of the games are a touchdown or less. That was the difference. And I don't think the Patriots defense is top 5. I do think they're probably, even with the departures and injuries, I still think they're a top 12 defense in terms of talent and how they play. But again, is it really a surprise that the Jets are so bad?
It's a surprise to them. They wouldn't have brought in Aaron Rodgers as the quote-unquote finishing piece if they didn't think that he was going to be able to make a difference. All I'm saying is right now, Aaron Rodgers is making the same difference at quarterback that Zach Wilson was. They literally scored more points. They literally scored more points with Zach Wilson than they had with Aaron Rodgers. That's all I'm saying.
See, again, you're missing all the other teams.
I hate that analogy.
They don't. That's a horrible analogy. They don't have that.
It's the truth.
It's not true because they
don't. That's the truth.
Listen. It's not the same. It's not the same exact team. They don't even have the same. I didn't say it was the same exact team. Listen. You can't compare the two. It's 2 different things.
Where did they get worse on offense?
They have 2 different OCs. Wake up. What are you talking about?
So the offensive coordinator that Rodgers had when he was in Green Bay is what made him worse? Is that what I'm understanding?
The OC, see, I love this. Thank you, Barry, for being so intelligent. The OC he had in Green Bay wasn't the one you talking about, Hackett. He wasn't calling plays.
He was in Green Bay and he was in.
He was not calling plays. He was not calling plays. He was not calling plays. And you seen what happened when he started to actually.
I didn't say he was calling plays. I said he was the OC. Was he not?
Guess what? It don't matter. I don't care if you have the title.
That was the guy that Rodgers wanted. He picked that guy.
Again, this dude was not calling plays.
I didn't say he was.
Okay. So listen. So why are you
pick the guy and then say that it's because of him that I suck?
Listen. Why are you comparing Zach Wilson's offense to Aaron Rodgers' offense when it's 2 different OCs? That's the point we're making. You can't say.
The point I'm making is you could have kept the OC and Zach Wilson and put up the same points. What did you gain?
Don't be silly, man. Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
What did you gain? Explain to me what did you gain if you put up less points?
Man. Don't be silly.
I'll wait.
Don't be silly.
What did you gain?
Don't be silly, man.
It's a very simple question. What did you gain if you're putting up less?
Don't be silly, man.
Aaron Rodgers is a bona fide starting quarterback. Zach Wilson wouldn't start at most colleges right now.
What did the Jets gain on offense if you're putting up less points? That's all I'm asking.
This dude is sitting here arguing for a quarterback that threw a whopping 8 touchdowns in a season. What are you talking about? What
did you miss? They've put up the same amount of points with both.
But it's a team game. Those are not the 2 guys. You're talking about a dude.
So what the team game Zach was there?
Why are you arguing for a quarterback that threw 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions?
I'm not arguing for him. I'm saying the team has put up the same amount of points. Aaron Rodgers is not the force multiplier that he was supposed to be. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but those are different arguments. It's one thing to say So just to be clear here, because you backed yourself into a corner.
I did.
So, yeah, you did. Because what you said is ridiculous. First of all, one, right? So it's fair to say that he hasn't had the impact that he's paid to have. That is fair. But to say that they're the same quality quarterback is ridiculous. That's like saying
they were the same quality quarterback.
In
I didn't say that. That's not what I said, BK. I said, what did they gain? I never said they were the same type quarterback. I said, what did the Jets offense gain that they're putting up the same amount of points?
The stats are the same. The points are the same. That's ridiculous. 2 different seasons.
The points are the same.
2 different schedules, 2 different situations.
BK, I'll ask again. What did they gain if the points are the same? I didn't say that things weren't different.
A confident quarterback who people don't think is a joke.
Well, congratulations, but you still have the same win-loss record as you did with the joke.
But
you're not a joke now because of the guy that's
not all on him.
I didn't say it was all on him. I said you have the same record as you had with your words. So
by your logic, Joe Burrow is garbage because his team is 3-5, and it's all his fault that the Bengals are bad this year. Using your logic, that's the same thing.
If they replaced Joe Burrow with somebody else, and they said it was Joe Burrow's fault, then I would say the same thing. The Jets said it was the quarterback's fault. Now, if Cincinnati said we're getting rid of Joe Burrow because he's the problem, and we're going to bring in, let's say,
you sound silly. You sound ridiculous.
Some veteran. Let's say this was. I'm trying to think of a veteran. There aren't really many elder statesmen that would be the same as Aaron Rodgers. But if there was, well, let's just say Aaron Rodgers. Let's just say, well, you moved Joe Burrow because of the 3-5 record or whatever, and you say I'm going to bring in Aaron Rodgers in hopes that he's going to do better, and you have the same record and you score less points. What did you gain? That's all I'm asking. I never said that Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are the same guy. I simply asked, what did the Jets gain? They gained nothing. That's the answer. Or is it not? What am I missing?
I disagree.
So what did they gain? Answer the question.
They gained a much better starting quarterback who is actually can run a competent offense versus a guy who is.
And they scored the same points and have the same record. So what did they gain?
And that's where you're wrong at. You talking about they have the same points. Aaron Rodgers currently have more touchdown passes than Zach had all last season already. That's gonna let you know. Hold on.
So that scored the same amount of points
again.
Had the same record.
Again, it's a team game. You're trying to compare the two.
I said team.
There's other things that factor into points. What about defensive touchdowns? What about special teams touchdowns? Did Zach Wilson get those? Do we know? You're just taking the points. You don't know the breakdown.
So are you telling me that the Jets defense scored more touchdowns when Zach Wilson was there? I'm asking. I don't know.
I don't know either, but my point is neither do you. So it's not a fair apples to apples comparison.
You can't. It's crazy to hate someone that much. It's ridiculous. That's wild. But guess what? It don't matter.
Said they have the same record.
Hey, guess what? It don't matter how much you hate that man. That man is solidified. There's nothing you can do about it. He's already a top 5. He's already a top 5 at his position.
He's a Hall of Famer. That's not the point.
Guess what?
That's not the point at all.
You can hate him.
I personally don't see
if you
can lose to a team like the Patriots and have the record that you have. What did you gain by bringing them in?
But guess what? That same record, you talk about that same record they have. Guess what? That division is horrible. The Dolphins is like one game.
And they keep losing.
Hold on. The Dolphins is like one game up, and they're in second place. So,
yeah, the Bills already have that one.
If Miami brought it, I'm not saying it's the greatest division. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you can't win in that division, how much worse would it look in any other?
Any given Sunday, man. We just seen the Browns beat the Ravens. Any given Sunday. Did we not see the Browns beat the Ravens with a backup quarterback? Hold on. Hold on. Did we
backup quarterback is better than the starter.
Hold on. Did we not see a backup quarterback just be the MVP?
My question though is, did he celebrate by having crab legs?
He didn't get a massage, I can tell you that.
Did the backup beat the MVP?
Great segue. Great segue, Vander. Jameis Wilson and the Browns beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
Look, this is the Browns' second game with over 300 passing yards since Watson came to town. Watson has played 19 games. He started in 19 games. Jameis Winston has started in 1. So I think that matter of fact, I won't even say I think. We've discussed it on several previous occasions. The Browns have a $250 million problem that they can't get rid of anytime soon. And the backup is better than the starter. And humble opinion, it's not close. I don't know what happened to Watson, but he's not the dude he was before. Should Jameis Winston keep the game even when Watson is healthy? Or is this, I mean, even if it is a fluke, the fact that he can do it on his first try and Watson only did it once in 19 tries, we may have to hold. I may even be willing to cut bait with Watson, saying this how whether you're there or whether you're not, I'm still paying you the same amount. I don't know. BK, start us out. What you got on this one?
Well, so to answer the first part, Watson's not going anywhere because next year he counts $90 million towards the cap. And they're and by the way, guess who was the one who signed him? The owners. The owners aren't going to want to look even more stupid by doing that. So when he comes back healthy next year, assuming he does, he'll be the starting quarterback because they're not going to bench a quarterback that's getting paid all that money to suck.
Even if they win several games with Winston?
Now, however, so a couple things, right? So, obviously I'm plugged into what happens in Cleveland. And so, I do have a similar last name to someone important there. Nevertheless, I say that to say that make no mistake that I laughed because there was rumors that head coach Stefanski was going to get fired in the bye week, I think week 10. And he got demoted and he's not calling plays anymore and someone else is, Ken Dorsey. Here's the thing. Stefanski took Baker Mayfield and the Browns to the playoffs. Stefanski took Joe Flacco and the Browns to the playoffs. So did Stefanski forget how to call plays? No. Did the Browns forget how to play offense? No. Did the defense, is it still a top 5 defense? Absolutely. Do they have a top 5 special teams? Absolutely. So what's the problem? Watson sucks. And it all started, and the analogy I use here, the comment is the team has given up on Watson. You can't fool the players. The players know he's not playing well. They have no confidence in him. And make no mistake, Winston's not the answer. That's why he's been the backup for years now. But he's a breath of fresh air. He rejuvenated the team. He played really good football. And don't forget, a broadcasting legend in Cleveland, Jim Donovan, passed away this week after a long time battle with cancer. This team was already jacked up for that. They had a home game against their division rivals, who, by the way, stole their team 20-some years ago, right? 25 years ago. I just think it was a perfect storm for the Browns to play inspired football. Winston's not the long-term answer, but he's a far better option than watching Watson shit the bed every week. Vander, what do you
think? The same way, or do you look at it a little differently?
No, I agree totally. What are you going to do?
Getting on my nerves agreeing totally. I'm sick of this.
I mean, hey man, you the one that just it says a lot about who you are, right? This is one of those things. Like, what are you going to do? You have that. You didn't bit off more than you can chew. They're stuck. I mean, they would take a hell of a hit as far as dead cap if they were just to cut them. Like, that would put that franchise in the red for for how long? I don't know.
Let me ask you this as far as dead cap is concerned, because I honestly don't know the answer to this. So if you cut them, does the dead cap equal more than the salary you would have paid them, or is it equal?
I'm not no salary expert, so I'm not going to speak on.
Do you have any idea, BK?
No, I don't. I don't know specifically that. It's a really good question and a fair one. My understanding would be this, though. That's going to be $90 million that counts towards their salary cap next year that they're getting zero production for.
Right.
And the other problem is who's going to trade for a guy who's injured, coming off of a serious injury like an Achilles, given the fact that he's been a zero in the last 4 years.
But no, that's my point though. So that's what I'm saying. Like if whether he's there or if he isn't there, you're paying the same amount. Maybe it's a rare situation in sports where you actually gain by cutting off a guy. But if Winston is a breath of fresh air and Winston can at least competently throw the ball downfield and he doesn't cost you much, and you would pay the same price whether Watson was there or not there, I can only think that Winston plays a little bit better knowing that the job is his. So, and again, this is just with not knowing how that particular piece of the puzzle works. If I got to pay you the same whether you're there or you aren't there, and I immediately see dividends with another quarterback at the helm, I just don't know that I would put you back out there. It's a sunken cost at this point. Is how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but this is the part of football that's business. It's not about, hey, this is quarterback has the locker room behind them. He's the better player. This is one guy's making 1 million and one guy's making 50 million. So you're not gonna send the guy home making 50 million. You bring your behind to work. Whether you're doing a great, you're gonna be here. You're gonna run laps. You're gonna go to the meetings.
I would be in the backup.
It's gonna be a lot of massages.
Hey,
Houston.
I don't know that we've seen the last of that case either. It went kind of quiet, but
no, he paid that last person already got paid off already.
Oh, I didn't hear about it. Okay,
yeah, so they quiet that one down. But if I'm the Browns, I go stir up a little bit more, but that's the only way out right now.
Best believe it's another one out there. You just got to go find it. It's somebody out there. I guarantee you that.
There's been 25. There's gonna be more.
You got to shake the hornet's nest at this point. I mean, they're going to, try to. That's the only way out this thing. I mean, hey, but you'll be surprised the lengths. Like these are $1 billion. You'll be the lengths. I mean, we just seen some guys in the music industry go down. You'd be surprised the lengths that these people will go in order to reclaim. So don't be surprised. I mean, they'll put somebody on you, man, for sure.
Yeah. Matter of fact, they might create a case. He
Absolutely.
got a lot of time on his hands.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
He got a whole lot of time on his hands.
Yep.
And a lot of time on your hands in his type of decision making is not a good combination.
Right.
They may create a new case.
Right.
I mean, look, this is going to be an interesting offseason for the Browns for sure. And they're getting ready to move to a new location. Maybe they just want to rip the Band-Aid off or figure out how to stab him so he bleeds enough that they don't even have to use a Band-Aid. They can use that tourniquet and say, hey, get on up out of here. Russell Wilson, man, look. Russell Wilson is cooking with the Steelers. Sometimes blessings come in a way that you didn't foresee them coming. And for Russell Wilson, being on the Steelers versus being stuck with the Broncos might be the best that he could have asked for. I didn't necessarily see him coming in and being on this level per se, but they're continuing on with what they've been doing with Fields. So a 26-18 victory over the Giants. Now, granted, that game started out kind of slow. There was a bunch of field goals going for a while there. One of the scores was by the defense, but he's holding it in the row. He's as good as or better than any quarterback that the Steelers have played with since prime Big Ben. Not end of career Big Ben, but prime Big Ben. And I don't think he's as good as he will end up being. I mean, this is only game 2. he still got to pardon the pun. Russ still has to get a little bit of the rust off before you see the best Russ. So the Steelers are they? I mean, I feel kind of silly asking if they're legit, but do they need? They've been the team in the clubhouse right now, as far as the Cooper Kupp trade is concerned. If I'm the Steelers, I make that shake, and the only reason for that is you got Pickens, but then you don't have much else other than him. Najee Harris is doing this thing in the run game. If you don't get Kupp, you need to get somebody. You need another receiver, because when you go against the upper echelon teams in the playoffs, you're going to have to hold serve and keep up. And I don't know that the pass catchers that they have currently will be good enough to keep up with the Kansas Cities of the world, which is where you're going to end up if you end up being as good as you look today. So, Vander, start us out. I mean, first of all, congratulations to your cousin. He doing his thing. For those of y'all that don't know, Mike Tomlin is Vander's cousin. Maybe you can hook up with him at the fan reunion, see if we can get a little verbiage for the podcast, just a quick little shout out or something. But
to get a little drop. I'm gonna get a drop.
Yeah, a little sound drop.
Hey, but listen,
time, that's all.
Number one, I try to tell you about Russ. You thought he was done coming out of Denver, and I told you.
I didn't say that. That wasn't me.
You didn't like
say he was done coming out of Denver.
Okay.
No, you got the wrong person.
I thought last year you were saying Russ didn't
like
look
3
good.
of my teams. I never said he was done.
Okay.
I was mad at Sean Payton for treating the way he was. I never said that.
Okay.
No, sir.
Well, again, I spoke about Russ opening up his offense, right? He's just a better passer of the ball. And like I've been mentioning, is when it comes to Fields, the Steelers have been winning in spite of, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like Fields was out here winning games. It was like, as long as that big boy on the defensive end is healthy, this team can go places. You know what I'm saying? TJ Watt, he's an animal. That defense is ridiculous. They have a very good special teams coach. And even this team should score more points. I mean, Pickens, that end zone catch, you're supposed to get 2 feet down, but he got the right leg down twice. He didn't get the left. It's just like he hit the right twice. That could have been a touchdown. And also on one of those field goals, I see that Russ tried to throw one guy open. He didn't stop in the zone. So he didn't stop softly in the zone. He kept running. But again, I know
better with time though. They only played together for 2 games.
Absolutely. But the whole Cooper Kupp thing, what you still have Hunter Renfrow out here. Hey, shout out to South Carolina, the South Carolina boy, wide receiver from Clemson. Get him in there and let him work it from 20 to 20 in the slot. I mean, you don't have to trade draft capital to try to bring in a Cooper Kupp who's awfully injured. Go get 2.0.
Yo, hold on. Michael Thomas is available.
He is, but he plays on the outside.
But that's what they don't have nobody else. They got Van Jefferson on the outside.
Yeah, they got Van Jefferson. But the kid Calvin Austin that they drafted a few years back, he's been coming on. He's a special teams guy a lot, but he's played pretty decent. But
is he on the outside or is he a slot receiver?
He's in the inside, but
okay.
I would like to see someone like a Hunter. I'm not understanding how Hunter Renfrow don't even have a job. This is like ridiculous.
There got to be something that happened behind the scenes, or in the
maybe he is the lighter complexion Deshaun Watson. We don't know about it, but it got to be something that this guy, because there's not 90 receivers in the league better than Renfrow. Like, come on, this is a Pro Bowl. This is a Pro Bowl guy, a tactician when it comes to route running. Chain mover. He's a greedy boy. Like, I don't get it. You
never heard anything bad about him, so it had to be something behind the scenes.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he getting massages too. We don't know about it, but I'm just saying, like, he should be on the team. I would go after a guy like him for that vet minimum than to go trade some draft capital for
get both of them. Get Thomas and Renfrow. See how it shake out. It's a long season. People get injured. I mean, I would take Michael Thomas over Van Jefferson at this point in the game. But you don't even have to pick and choose. Like you have a winning record, you have enough cap space for multiple vet minimums. BK, what you think?
So, well, I agree that Wilson is definitely an upgrade over Fields, right? Definitely. For all the reasons you guys pointed out, I agree. I will say that his 2 games back were against the Jets and the Giants. And I feel like you, me, and 3 friends could have played well against those teams. So I'm not exactly really impressed by the lack of competition they had. And to be honest, they didn't look good in either game, most of the game. Remember, in the Jets game, they were down 15-6 at half before they closed on a 31-0 run, right? And this week, they were in a snooze fest that was 9-6 at the half in a game of all field goals. So the first half against the Jets was a stinker. And you can argue Jets usually play pretty good defense, first game back, feeling things out, all those things. Wilson's a much better quarterback, and he's the right player for that system. I just don't think it's a no-brainer that he's playing over Fields. I don't even think that's a question. It shouldn't be a question. At the end of the day, for the Steelers, they have a good running game. They have a great kicker. They have a great defense. And they have a really, really good head coach who's been very good for a long time there. At the end of the day, do I really think Russ Wilson's going to beat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, or probably even CJ Stroud, although it might be easier without Diggs for the year? I still can't get over the fact, and this, you can't convince me of this otherwise, because I think this matters. It was telling to me that Pete Carroll and the Seahawks were all too willing to trade Russ Wilson out of Seattle. How often does a franchise quarterback get so easily tossed aside to someone else? And
I can't say so easily when I look at the package that they gave up, that the Broncos gave up to get him.
Well, make no mistake, the Broncos overpaid for sure.
So when you overpay, sometimes you get nice things.
And they clearly fleeced them for that. But, I think ultimately it worked out for both teams, right? Yeah. Seattle's won 9 games each of the last 2 years. They played pretty good football this year, this Sunday notwithstanding, where they were a no-show at home. But the Broncos are 5-3. Bo Nix's life is treating them well with their top 5 defense. They're playing well. Granted, their schedule hasn't been anything to leave the wife for, but they're 5-3, and the Steelers are in good shape too. I think sometimes things work out for everybody, and the Steelers are going to be tough because that defense is really, really good, and they're going to make enough plays on offense to cause problems.
So BK, to your point, I feel like Wilson found his way back to his Super Bowl style team. It's a team that they don't really need him to be the guy, because the defense is the guy. The running game is the guy. Like, Pittsburgh is set up the same way that takes him back to his winning ways in Seattle. Like, it's a similar setup.
I agree with the premise that it's a similar setup for sure, because both of those teams were similarly constructed, right? Really good head coach, really great defense, really good running game. But here's the thing. What I haven't seen, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And again, it's only been 2 games, but I'm also going back to the post-Seattle Denver time as well. Wilson made a lot of plays with his legs. He was a threat on the ground, and he threw one of the better deep balls in the league.
Yeah.
And I'm not really seeing that post-Seattle. He didn't really do it in Denver, and he had the wide receivers to do it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it in 2 games with Pittsburgh either. He's not throwing the ball deep. So that's the one difference.
Necessarily, because he only had one wide receiver. He had Sutton in Denver. Everybody else is hurt. In Pittsburgh, he hasn't been there long enough to see it based on the defenses that he went against, because the one wide receiver that he has in Pittsburgh right now, who is Pickens, was going up against Sauce Gardner, and then who's the number 1 corner on the number 1 corner on the Giants isn't quite Sauce, but he's pretty decent out there as well, and he's coming off of an injury. But I get where you're coming from, but I think we've yet to see Russ at his best in Pittsburgh, and they're putting up more points than when they had an uninjured Justin Fields. So,
well, but I just go back, right? The comparison isn't about, look, it's a no-brainer. Russ Wilson was signed, brought there to be the QB1. He is the QB1. Justin Fields isn't the answer. Justin Fields is going to be a career backup, or should be. That's where he belongs. He's not an NFL starting quarterback if you're looking.
That hurts, BK.
Listen, the truth is the truth. This is the gospel. It is what it is. I need him to play better. He hasn't done it his whole career. Now, in the Bears situation, I think he was set up to fail in Chicago because they were beyond incompetent across the board. But at the end of the day, Wilson's the much better option. Much better option than Fields. I just need to see him. And again, 26 points against the Giants, who are terrible. And one of them was a defensive score. So he didn't even break 20 against an awful Giants team. I'm just saying that for the Steelers to get where I know the Steelers are used to being and want to be, he's got to be more of a threat with his legs to extend plays. And he also has to throw more deep balls, specifically to Pickens. And schematically, what I would have done against the Sauce Gardner thing, why not sometimes put Pickens in the slot?
That ain't up to us, though.
Make Gardner cover more of the field than just one side of the field. It's easy to shut down a player when you're only covering one side.
But to Vander's point, if they went out and got a Hunter Renfrow, that would solve that problem.
That was a great idea. That was a phenomenal. He's on it. He's all on it. I agree.
The Texans beat the Colts 23-20. Diggs is out due to an ACL. Richardson is out due to the worst completion percentage in 20 years. Worse than Jamarcus Russell. Worse than Tim Tebow. Josh Rosen, Johnny Manziel, whoever you can think of. He is number 1 at being the worst at a whopping 44%. Let me put on my fantasy hat for 2 seconds and we'll get back to the weekend recap. Sell the picks. Get proven players. Forget those picks. You're not better than a real GM. Get rid of the picks. Get the guys that you know you can plug and play and move on with life. With that being said, Vander, is this just a stopgap? Can he get better? But between the completion percentage and the fact that he's always hurt, and I have never you've paid attention to football for a lot more years than I have, you as well, BK. I can't recall ever in my football watching life an uninjured quarterback subbing himself out due to being tired. I think that was the last straw for a coaching regime whose job is on the line. Like you're not. You play like a running back, but you're not the running. You can't sub yourself out. Like, what are we doing here, Vander? What you got for me, bro?
Well, for firstly, bro, Joe, if you're listening, which I'm sure you will see this, I told you so. I told you. This whole Anthony Richardson thing, people are like, oh, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's like the next Cam Newton. No. I think the dude might have played 12 games since high school. He's already in the pros. I think it's like 16 games. It's like in the area of 12 to 15 in that area of games that he started since high school. This is his second year in the NFL. What are we talking about? You have that much under your belt. You know, he's a phenomenal specimen of an athlete, but that it stops there. Like you got what you got. He's extremely raw coming out of college. He had a big arm. He's big. He's fast. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But the NFL, this ain't for him, man. I mean, and this is a wasted draft pick. Let's just call it what it is, because at this point, I mean, again, you have another 40-year-old taking your job. So, and I mean,
40-year-old taking your job. It's different when you get shipped off and they bring in a guy.
Yeah.
You sitting behind holding the clipboard for Joe Flacco?
And to think about it, he'll get another opportunity because there'll be somebody out here who say they can fix him and tinker with him a little bit because he has a very favorable contract. I would. He can go for a third round right now.
Who do you think will pay a third round for him?
I don't know. He just was a lottery pick though. So somebody out there may think they can tinker with him for a little while. Maybe the Dolphins. Maybe one of these teams that don't want to spend a lottery pick in the first round next year coming up, that they're okay with taking the third round and getting a starting capable quarterback.
Maybe the Saints, maybe even Carolina.
Like maybe the Raiders. Maybe the Raiders. I mean, there's a lot of teams that's going to be looking for maybe the New York Giants, right? So there's going to be a lot of teams that's looking for maybe the Jets. There's a lot of teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks here, and maybe they can save their first round pick and spend. Hell, he can go for a fourth round pick right now. The way I feel about it, Anthony Richardson, like the proof is in the pudding. So I don't know what to say about it.
It's unfortunate.
For me, I think it's a situation where I see a coach maybe like McVay taking a shot at him.
I can see that.
An offensive mind.
Okay.
But in terms of Richardson, look, I've seen Richardson a lot. Vander's seen Richardson a lot. And I try not to bring up this team during our forgotten season of mourning. But as Knowles fans, right, I saw Richardson play a lot. The guy is a physical freak in athleticism. He has a cannon of an arm. Unfortunately, he plays the game with blindfolds on because he can't read a defense. And he's never been able to read a defense. And every time Florida State played him, they embarrassed him because he couldn't throw the ball accurately. So, and you cannot run the Florida State defense, so he couldn't do that either. If he can't run and he can't throw, they couldn't score. And when they would play the Noles, I literally would say to anyone who would listen, the only way Florida's going to score is if the Noles give it to them. A short field, turnover, pick six. Other than that, he couldn't drive them down the field to save his butt. Same thing in the pros. He was a terrible pro prospect. He was too raw. He needed to sit probably 2 or 3 years before he had any chance of playing. And he's not ready. He hasn't been ready, and he can't stay healthy. And truthfully, he still can't read a defense. He can't stay healthy. The guy is not quite a bust, but he's getting there.
You're pretty close to
it. And look, it's sad to say this, but the Colts are a much better team with Flacco playing quarterback than him.
It ain't sad. It's the truth, BK.
And it's sad because when you draft a quarterback that high as your franchise quarterback, it's sad as a franchise to miss so badly on a prospect. That's why it's sad.
Hey, look, congregation, work with us. This show is going to be a little bit longer than normal. We haven't even gotten to college yet, and we still got a couple of more things to talk about in the NFL. I hope you're enjoying it. Look, we got some situations going on. Right? Matter of fact, before we get to those situations, let's talk about this. Jaden Daniels is the truth. Look, Chicago is punching air right now on multiple levels, not just the game that they just lost, due to what I believe will be this generation's equivalent to the Immaculate Reception. This game was over. Like when I tell you I'm so glad that I didn't have to go to the bathroom and miss this one. This was one that you had to see in real time. The replay is great, but when you the range and roller coaster of emotions. I'm not a Washington fan. I'm not a Chicago fan. I'm a Patriots fan, a Browns fan, and a football fan. But when I tell you that when Caleb Williams went down, put them in position to score, boom, all right, cool. Game over. They got 20 seconds left. Maybe it might have been less than 20 seconds left. And this guy, Mr. Jaden Daniels, who didn't even know if he was going to play this week due to a rib injury, goes out and has the longest play. He took 12 seconds to throw the football. That's the longest amount of time that anyone has ever held on to the football, made a pass, and it was caught. Ever. This man then wins the game on a tipped. Look, this is the stuff that miracle seasons are built off of. And I hope I'm not going too far with this, but the amount of confidence and the amount of maybe it's our turn type of emotions that are evoked in a team when something like this happens on the other side, when you could have picked this guy, he's going out and doing everything. He's taking a team that doesn't have as many weapons as you have, didn't have the defense that you have, and is leading their division. I'm sorry. The GM in Chicago has done a lot of good things. He made a mistake. Vander, to your credit, you told everybody that would listen, Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback. I don't care about the fanfare. Caleb Williams is not Jaden Daniels. And we have seen that. BK, start us out. Did you see it? What were your feelings about it? How would you feel if you were a Chicago fan? Whatever direction you want to tackle this from, let me hear.
I'll start with the easy part, with the Bears part, right? So they played awful for almost 3 quarters. They had no business being in that game. Caleb Williams literally had 58 yards passing midway through the 3rd quarter. He was trash. He played like trash. He is trash. None of this is anything that we haven't already known. Okay? I'm not breaking news here. But and the only reason why the game was so close is because Washington kept settling for field goals. You kick 4 field goals, you keep teams in games. You can't play with your food. You have to shut teams down. Should have never been in that situation. But how about the Bears? So what I love, and I may or may not have watched it live and then watched highlights of it 50 times after that, still cheering because it was great. It was like Christmas and my birthday rolled into one. But what I'll say is, how about number 21 on the Bears turning to the crowd and taunting at the start of the play, and then literally Noah Brown, they teach you, as a little kid, they teach you, and I'm going to use a cuss word here, knock the damn ball down. Knock the ball down. What do? They get out of position. He's out of position because he's yapping his strap to the fans. The ball gets tipped up in the air, and Noah Brown is standing there all by himself, 5 yards behind everyone else, for the easiest Hail Mary touchdown catch in the history of pro football. And you know what? The Bears deserved it Why? Because Caleb Williams, who hadn't done trash for 3.5 quarters, is yapping his trap on the sideline and talking trash like he did something important, right? You were good one drive in 4 quarters and you're running your mouth. The fact that Jane Daniels threw that ball, and yeah, they got away with a hold, but he threw the ball 65 yards in the air with bruised ribs. Please tell me how many quarterbacks can do that.
One.
And the other thing is, I don't use this term lightly, and I'm not saying that this win gets them there. But what I will say is, these are the time of wins when you steal a victory from defeat. You start to have that confidence of we become this team of destiny. And I don't like to say that because there's a long season to go, half the season to go, and they could lose most of the rest of their games, although it won't be next week against the Giants. But there's a lot of games that they could still lose. They got Dallas twice, Philly twice. They got some games they got to deal with, and divisional games are always hard outside of the Giants. But this team just looks and feels like they're there. And I don't mean a Super Bowl contender there, but like a legitimately good playoff team that this city and me and all of us fans out have been waiting for. It's been 30 years since we've had really good teams. So it's nice. And on a rookie quarterback contract, they're going to load up that defense these next few years. Look out. Vander, what do you think? I've yapped way too long. My bad.
Well, I'm going to start off by saying this. There's a phrase that says, as you sow, so shall you reap. And the guy you spoke of, number 21, is, karma, they say what goes around comes around. But people don't tell you sometimes it's like immediate, right? He was jaw jacking with Terry most of the game. They was getting into it. As the final play comes along, again, like you said, he's dancing, pointing in the crowd, and then the ball is snapped. Then he's like, oh. So at that point, so what Zay said, a lot of time went by. So he was able to get back in position. So he was able to get back in position during the play. But the funny thing about this whole thing was it was his hand that tipped the ball.
I didn't know that. Yes. I didn't know
that. So his hand tipped the ball, and then Noah Brown waiting like he caught a baby, like he's delivering a baby, just dropping his arms. And it was, you know what I'm saying? So his karma came around full circle immediately.
That makes this even better.
Go back and look at it. He ran over and he got kind of in front of the crowd, and his hand was the one that tipped the ball. So I was like, man, that's crazy. But like I've been saying for the last couple of weeks or so, to what BK just mentioned, this team is on Super Bowl watch starting next year. So don't get it confused. This is going to be immediate swing next year. And by year 2, they're going to be primed. So by year 2, this Washington team is going to be something to deal with, because, again, I keep speaking on this. I haven't heard anything, but it makes sense for Michael Parsons to be in Washington. It just makes sense. His guys there, they have the most cap space. He's going to be the highest paid. He's going to be the highest paid player of all time. Let's just call it what it is. He's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback, which would probably make him the highest paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to ask, you think you're going to get the highest paid quarterback money?
No, the highest paid non-quarterback of all time.
Okay.
He's going to get that contract. You can write that down, right? Mm-hmm. The guys over there run the same system. He just hasn't got his guys in place yet. But with this big cap space, this free agency coming up, Washington being a decent city that people were okay with living in, right? That DMV area. So you have many places you can live. I can live in Virginia. I can live in Maryland. I can live, so they're surrounded. This is not Cleveland. No. This is not Green Bay. Like people okay with living in this DC area. You know what I'm saying? A lot of military, probably got a lot of family in this area, a lot of players. So this team is on Super Bowl watch starting next year. But by year 2, they're gonna be a problem. They're gonna be a real problem in the NFC. It feels
almost like the Texans, like the same route that the Texans took, getting CJ Stroud, getting a couple of pieces the next off season as far as free agents were concerned. But the difference is their coach is a little bit more seasoned than DeMeco Ryans is. He's taken a team of tongue-in-cheek, don't hear what I'm not saying, but he's taking a team of nobodies on defense and making that defense relevant. So
real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but real quick, think about it. The quarterback, he plays with so much moxie, great smile, nice kid. You have veteran wide receivers saying, I want to play over here. This dude hasn't even played a full season yet. He's already got the likes of Devontae Adams. We've seen his former teammate Ayuk, but there's so many guys. It's like, yo, I want to play with that kid. In free agency, it's going to be wild.
And just to make a jump in and make a point, right? Just to draw a parallel, since I know Zay likes his comparisons. So here they are. We have one quarterback who just got benched because for part of it is I got too tired running. And then we have another quarterback who really, if we're being honest, had no business playing, but played with bruised ribs and then threw a heroic, unforgettable touchdown pass that will live in forever Commander lore, right? How much stock and equity you think that has with his teammates? Yeah. They knew he was hurt. But you know what he said? You know what? My team needs me. I want to play. This is an important game. Both teams had similar records, right? This is a big game, relatively speaking. I'm going to be out there for my team. And not only did he play, but he had the defining play that will be one, if not, probably go down as the play of this season.
Well, real quick, this is the biggest play in Commanders history, right? Not Redskins history, but definitely Commanders history, for sure.
Without a doubt.
For sure. Agreed, for sure. A couple of things we're going to tackle on the college front. We have 3 topics we're going to go at on the college front before we let you guys go. First, Coach Prime has taken a program from annually winning 1 to 2 games before he got there to being bowl eligible with 4 games left. This isn't a sneaking in, by the skin of your teeth situation. Is this the ceiling or is this the floor for Colorado going forward? Vander, I know that's your guy. We're going to start out with you on this
one. I think it's the floor for many reasons. You got to give a guy time to get his guys in there, right? Everybody wanted, this is an instant gratification, microwave society that we live in. Everybody wants it right now. Oh, Prime there, they should go from 1 win to the playoffs. No, give him time to get his guys in, get these guys coached up, believing, and then also don't forget the change of conference help, right? Let's not forget that. They moving from that conference they was in, getting out of the way of Oregon. Everybody's moving around, but they going to that. Is that the Big 12?
They're in the Big 12 now, yeah.
Which is, let's say this is weak, right? That helps. Like, it's a pretty weak conference, but that kind of helps at the same time.
But the Pac-12 wasn't all that great either.
But the Pac-12 still have the Oregons of the world, the Southern Cal. They're still like
Oregon, Southern Cal, Utah,
UCLA. Like these are like schools that have legacy though, that always have talent.
And they all left the Pac-12.
Right. So for him to go to the Big 12, where the Big 12 kings are no longer there, the Texases are gone, the Oklahomas are gone of the world. So he went to a rather weaker conference, but that's going to help as far as recruiting in that conference as well, because they can very well rise to the top, a lot faster as far as winning. So I don't think this is like a playoff thing, by any chance. But I think when I say the floor, I mean they should be bowl eligible moving forward. It doesn't take a lot to become bowl eligible. It may be the Target.com bowl, right? But I think from here on out, you'll see this team in bowls to come. And to go from one win, Colorado, let's not forget, these guys haven't been on the map since Cordell Stewart or Rashad Salam, right? But now they have Prime. You got the crowd behind them. People staying there.
Does that mean you feel that he'll stay there?
I think he has no choice.
Oh, he got choice.
Let me finish. The only way he leaves if he can leave and he can stay with his son. So if the Miami Dolphins or the
you don't think he would go to his alma mater?
No. I think they messed up already. I think they messed up. That's the school that messed up. Okay. I think he's gonna hold a little grudge against them.
I'm asking because you and BK both Knowles fans. I'm like,
if
you don't have to compound a mistake by not making an offer the second time. That's all I'm saying.
Listen. I think that ship has passed for now. Maybe later down the road when the Colorado thing fizzes out. But I think we made the mistake by not getting him. It was a layup. Okay, he was coming with a quarterback and the best player in college football. Like, getting a coach is one thing, but getting a starting quarterback and getting the best player in college football with him, with the defense we already had in Florida State, this was a no-brainer. Like, this is going to be, we would have been competing for the national championship very easily. Like, but this is what happens. I mean, Bobby Bowden is rolling over in his grave. No, I mean, but he's still alive. But I'm just saying, like, this is bad business. You know what I mean? But kudos to Coach Prime. He had a lot of haters, the media, and now a lot of them eating crow. They're eating crow right now. You know what I'm saying? So, kudos.
He did it twice. He did it twice. This wasn't a singular event. He did it on a quote unquote lower level, if you will, at HBCU.
Yeah.
Then he brought it to the upper echelon and said, "Well, watch me, hold my beer. Watch me do it again." Yep. BK, what you got?
He's done a really great job there. He's changed the culture. He's been able to bring in really good talent. Obviously, the much easier conference has definitely helped. We can't just dismiss that. For God's sakes, BYU and Iowa State are undefeated. In that conference. So I don't think any one of us thinks that those teams are that good. To quote something Vander likes to say, let's stick BYU and Iowa State in the SEC or the Big Ten and tell me how they're doing. Like, they're going to have a problem. So, all joking aside, I do think that if the Knowles come calling, Deion's making his way back. Why? Because it's his alma mater. He's going to have with all the cachet and the brand that he's built, and it's a hotbed of talent in Florida. He'll get the money's not necessarily important because he's going to make a ton of money no matter what he does. So that's not really necessarily the big thing. But think about it like this. To restore his alma mater to where he knows they should be, does he really want to continue to stay in Colorado? Like, as great a job as he's done, sometimes you got to know when you've taken it as far as it's going to go. When he loses Travis Hunter and he loses Shedeur Sanders and the other 2 first-round picks that are going to be gone too, then what is he going to have left? It's not like you just snap your finger and get a quarterback. Just ask Mike Norvell. So just ask Dabo Sweeney how it works to try to snap your finger and get a quarterback. So I just think that it makes sense for him to go back to Florida State. It's a win for the Noles. It's a win for Deion. Can you imagine the electricity, the energy, the excitement, what that would do to that fan base if he went back to Tallahassee? That thing would be nuts.
But let me ask you something real quick, BK. Now, I agree with you. It would be, but it was like back then you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. You're all on me. So, do you think? Because I think Florida State coach would not be there next year, right? Do you think Do you think Prime will leave immediately? Like after, like you say, Shedor's gone, Travis is gone, and with this, and the funny thing about it, also with this NIL thing, he could take his guys with him, right? So it's not like one of those things where, oh, coach, you did me wrong. You made me lose some eligibility. You went somewhere. No, come on, guys. I'm taking my luggage, and it's Louis. So do you think he's going to go right away? Do you think he's, what's your opinion on that?
Yes. I think it's a great question. In my opinion, I think it's about messaging. If Florida State comes to him and says, you know what, Prime?
On their knees.
Not even necessarily. Well, yes. But, if they come to him and said, Prime, look, like, this is on us. This is our bad. We made the wrong choice. We apologize for that. We really, really, really need you to save us. If that message comes out, he's coming.
Because I don't want to stay on this too long, but it's one thing when someone wants you when nobody does. Because, you got to give a lot more credit should go to that AD at Colorado. I can't remember his name right off. But he believed before everybody. It's one of those things where people want to see it first before they buy it, right? That AD believed in him from the jump, right? And he has made that university so much money, so much revenue. The locals love him because the business is booming. There's so many people traveling to Boulder. Like he may not be the mayor, but he's king in Boulder.
Now, is that for football or for recreational activities?
That too. Both. Like, you get the best of both worlds.
You're doing both when you go to Boulder.
You know what I mean? So do you leave all of that to go to the girl that told you no?
I think it's timing, though. If Florida State had a good season and they fired their coach, it would look like you were chasing them. But for them to have the season that they're having and they come to you and you go to them, it's like you're doing the same thing for them that you did for Colorado, except now you won't have to convince people to go to your school. It won't be I'm bringing my luggage. It could be whether I bring my luggage or leave my luggage, I'm going to have the people that I need when I get there. Right. So if it wasn't his alma mater, if it was just about any other school that he had interest in that didn't have interest in him, it'd be different.
And I agree real quick because combining both of what you said, because you're both right here. Well, yes, the Colorado AD believed in him when no one else did, right? And you can see the mess that Jacksonville State is now that he's gone. Like, they're a bad football team. So you can see what he did there and the effects of him being gone. But Colorado, is having a great year, and he deserves a lot of the credit for building it how he should. I understand him taking it personally that someone told him no, especially like a loved one essentially told him no, which always is going to sting. But we see this time and time again in college football where head coaches can't say no to their alma mater. And I just think that this will be the next case of primetime, we need you. Please come save us. And he'll answer the call. I just think, because I think that's the type of man he is.
He doesn't strike me as the type of, how would I say this? What he has shown and what he has said strikes me as the type of guy that is willing to listen to reason and is also willing to forgive and forget when you truly come to him apologetically. Now, if you come to him with your behind on your shoulders, he's gonna send you packing. But it's just one of those. It's just different when it's home. Like home can do you wrong, but home apologizes and it's like, okay, I'm coming home. If it was anywhere else, I don't know. And you guys are Nose fans, so you would know better than me. But
hey, listen, I want him bad, but I'm also for the guy. I'm not going to the girl that didn't want me before I got the Lamborghini. When she seen me coming through the grocery store parking lot and I was driving my mom's Honda Civic, and she was like, and then I circled back around the Lamborghini, like, hey, no, it's the same guy. Like on the same shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not the person that's going to just jump back on that. So that for that reason.
But here's the thing, and let me lean on that analogy. If she circles back and explains to you that it had nothing to do with the Honda or the Lamborghini, and then she points out to you the flaws that you had that made her afraid to commit.
Yeah, no.
And then you realize
no.
that, yeah, I did kind of have a few warts that I needed to work on.
Nah.
And yeah, I would have kind of put you in a compromising position.
No.
I mean,
you never have a second chance to make a first impression.
There you go, BK.
But it wasn't the first. The first impression was when he went to the school. That's what I'm saying. It's different. It's just different. That's all I'm saying. It's different. It's different. And this is coming from a guy whose wife didn't like him the first time they met, and I chased her for 90 days for her to be my girlfriend. And then we broke up, and we got back together after I was married to somebody else for 10 years. So I understand the circle back. I understand why she left me alone the first go round. So I get it. I get it. It wasn't the Lambo. It wasn't the money in the bank account. I had some things I needed to work on, and once I worked on them, it was like, all right, cool. Based on where I am in life, based on where you are in life, let's do it. And it's worked out splendidly. That's all I'm saying. It works out well.
Though. You say you had some things to work on. Dion didn't have anything to work on.
You don't know that though.
Nah.
You
listen. You
didn't know what he was until he became it.
Listen, you could have not written a better storybook. This thing was storybook for Florida State, right? Storybook. I get it. Dion hasn't had a lot of he went from coaching kids in high school to HBCU, and then it's like you don't want to give him this much of on his plate. I get it, but it was so storybook. Probably the best player in Florida State history, right?
Yeah.
Like he's under that Bowden tutelage. He knows all about. He is a Seminole. It was so storybook. He's a Florida kid. He's from Fort Myers, Florida.
The story isn't over. That's my point. It can still be storybook.
It's not over. But like you said, right? It took 10 years to go, right? It took 10 years. So it may take 10 years to get back. You said it, not me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just hoping that. And here's the thing: sometimes when you realize that although Florida State didn't immediately accept you, Colorado ain't exactly the place you should be either. And maybe you're getting along just fine with Colorado, but home is Florida State. That's where it all started. That's where it can all end, and that's what it's. If he would not only is it back, made it shake, I don't think he would ever desire to be anywhere else. I don't see him desiring to be in Colorado for the rest of his career as a coach.
Not only is it a huge step up from Colorado to Florida State, it's a return home. Make no mistake, people aren't itching and diving. When Deion leaves Colorado, make no mistake, at some point he will, sooner or later. No one's going to be lined up to take that job. You post the Florida State job, there is a line. You better tailgate for a
long timing. If you don't go now, you might not be able to go. The next guy may go and do very well, and now your chance is gone. Sometimes you got to get in when the time is right.
Which is why when Norvell gets fired, they'll come calling, and Coach Prime, who's a very, very smart man, would be very foolish to say no.
Let's wrap it up with this. We go from a coach that we believe is doing above and beyond where he would have been, and a lot of schools may be calling on him, to a guy that I don't care what his record is. He is pissing me off to the umpteenth power, and I'm sick of it. Ryan Day almost lost to an unranked team. Ohio State went up against a team that lost 56-7 the week prior and made them look like a contender. I'm sorry. I don't know what the issue is, but it's just not clicking. It feels like the team plays tight. We rarely, if ever, go out and play with our hair on fire. We lose to great teams, and in many cases, we barely win against teams that shouldn't even be mentioned. BK, you're a Buckeye fan. You followed the program since before I followed the program. Am I tripping? Am I looking a gift horse in the mouth? I know what his record is, but he also, correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't won against Michigan in like 4 years, 5 years, something stupid like that. 4 years. So what are we doing? Like, Chip Kelly's already in the building. I don't even know if he's the answer because the offense wasn't looking all that great. But I believe with the talent that we have there, the offense could look and should not look worse than what he had in Oregon. It's time to do something different. Humble opinion. Talk me off the ledge. Tell me I'm right. Tell me something, BK.
So here's the deal, right? I hate to repeat the answer that I gave about the Jets, but there's a similarity here. And here's what I mean by this. And hang in there with me. You and I, Zay, are both leaders, so this will resonate with you. Teams or employees are a reflection of their leader. Ryan Day coaches tight. He's tight. The team doesn't play with when he first took the job, they played with an aggressiveness. They played with aggression. They played hands on fire. If we can score 70, we will. This team doesn't do that anymore. The last couple of years, he hasn't done it. Part of it is you can blame the quarterback. McCord was a very unpolished quarterback on a team that was ready to win it all. In this year's team, Urban Meyer, Tressel came out and said, this is the most talented Buckeyes team we've ever seen, right? There's one problem with that. That's not true. Have you watched the quarterback? Will Howard is still the same guy who played quarterback at Kansas State. Now look, Will Howard didn't have these weapons that he had at Kansas State. And he certainly played in an easier league in the Big 12 than he did in the Big 10 with all these teams. Will Howard, while he's an experienced quarterback, is not a great or an elite quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not great or elite. And so, But the other part is every single week we see the Buckeyes come out as a slow starting team. They've gotten off to one fast start in 7 games. And to be honest, they got outplayed at home against an unranked Nebraska team who gave up 42 in the first half to Indiana. And I'm not talking about in college basketball. I'm talking about in football, right? Bobby Knight didn't coach these Hoosiers. So, and to be honest, Ohio State should have lost, but for them getting stopped 3 plays inside the 3-yard line and turning it over on downs, they would have lost. They should have lost. On that given day, they weren't the better team. And their reward, and the part that really frustrates me is you lost a game at Eugene, Oregon, right? You had a week to stew about that loss.
Right.
You come back at home against a team that we all know, and even Nebraska knows, should have got their asses handed to them. And the Buckeyes mailed it in like it's another Saturday afternoon, like we had nothing to play for. And I get that you maybe were looking ahead to Penn State, and I can appreciate that because you're 18 to 22-year-old kids. But after I just lost a game on a national stage to a team that we outplayed for most of that game, my team is going to run through the wall the next week to make a statement. This team doesn't have the right quarterback. It doesn't have the killer instinct. This team is a flawed team. They're going to make the playoffs because they're one of the 12 best teams. But this team just doesn't have, and I hate saying this team just doesn't have it.
Vander, close us out with this.
I mean, it's going to be brief for me.
Wait. I'm going to switch up the question for you. Ohio State plays Penn State this week. That's number 3 going against number 4. If they come out and play like they played against Nebraska, I don't see it.
No, listen. That's the first point I was going to make. The Penn State quarterback went down last week. So they're preparing multiple quarterbacks to play in this game. So they're not coming in with, full power. So that may be a reason why they still can lose. And I think this game is in Penn State, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
That's not a fun place to put. The best thing the Buckeyes got going for them is this a 12 o'clock game instead of an 8 p.m. game. That's the best thing they got going for them.
If that quarterback was, healthy, I would go the other way off the rip. Like I don't think they could beat Penn State. But even still, this is going to be a tough football game, no matter who's that quarterback, right? But in the last section, we talked about coming home. You need to call Urban Meyer back. Urban Meyer is the NIL man. Like, it's time. Come on back. Tell him to come on back and jump back in the saddle, and that would be a great story for football as well.
I'll take Jim Tressel at this point.
I love Jim, but I think Tressel is so far removed from football right now that it's been such a long time. I think the game may have, but I love Tressel. You know what I mean? But Urban Meyer is going to be a hot coach, I'm pretty sure, in this offseason. I think he's
going to end up in Notre Dame if Notre Dame take another 2 losses, to be honest with you.
I can see that.
It's going to be interesting. That wraps it up for today. Make sure you check us out on YouTube at The Gospel STP. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, look, we give you a multitude of information involving all sports on the Facebook group. That's The Gospel Sports Truth Facebook group. And if you need to get any information to us about advertising, questions, comments, concerns, thegospelstp@gmail.com. Remember, tell the truth
and nothing but the truth.
We out. Y'all be easy.
Later, y'all.
All right, man.